Hello again and welcome back to GA Today, hashtag B4, building bridges, breaking barriers while we're building bridges. Our last episode was such a powerful and dynamic episode. I've asked these two gentlemen who are our guests if they would just stay with us a little longer, if we could do another episode, because what you gentlemen are talking about, and I'm speaking to Mr. Gregory Powell, Mr. Kenny Boyd, of course, our co-host and moderator of the General Association, Dr. Bernard Crayton, is with us. But you gentlemen were so powerful with your information and being real. And I appreciate you being so candid about your journey and about what you've gone through, because most of us don't talk about the bad times that we have in life. And most of us don't talk about some of the difficult issues that we've had to deal with. And you gentlemen freely shared that with us. So thank you so much for that. But Mr. Powell, you said something as we were closing out our last episode and that caused us to want to do a part two. And you spoke about your mom. Mr. Boyd, you were talking about how your mom now can see the transformation that has taken place in your life, and how proud that you made her, and how you can see the joy leaping from her heart when you come home and she says, "There's my baby, that's my child." And then, Mr. Powell, you said, "Well, I appreciate what Mr. Boyd's mother got to see because I did not get that particular opportunity." Will you kind of pick it up from there and share with our audience what you shared with us as we closed out our last episode?
Yeah, sure. Mr. Boyd was speaking about his mom being able to see the transformation that he has made in his life and how proud she is of his transformation, to see her son, who is the work that he is doing with the youth and in his community. And I was sitting here thinking when he was over there speaking that I just wish that I had my mom here to be able to see the transformation that I made and the things that I'm doing in the community and with the youth. And I was thinking about me losing my mom when I was in prison.
Wow.
And my mom died from liver cancer, and I would never ever forget it, because it was 2001, I'm sorry, and it was 2 days after 9/11, so I'll never forget it.
Wow.
9/13 is when my mom passed away, so it was already devastating of what happened to 9/11. And then when I got the thing that my mom had passed away, it was just so devastating to me. And I remember being locked up in solitary confinement in Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex when I got the news that my mom had passed. And when I went back to my cell and I laid on my bed, and I remember just looking up at God and just asking him, "God, why my mom? Why did you take my mom away from me?" And I had never ever in my life had really called on to God or asked God for anything, because I can remember when my mom and my grandmother used to try to talk to me about God, I would brush him off. "Oh, I don't want to hear that. I don't," so I asked God, "Why my mom?" And he spoke to my heart. And I knew then that God was really real, because he told me, as he spoke to my heart, he said, "Greg, I didn't take your mom to punish you. I didn't take your mom to make you feel bad. I took your mom away from you to get your attention." And and you don't have to worry about her because she's in a better place.
Yeah.
And she don't have to suffer no more.
Yeah.
And so that's what I get out of that. And that's when my life in prison began to change for the best.
Amen.
Powerful,
Amen.
man.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And I think it speaks so much to what we take for granted.
Yeah.
I think we take for granted that mama's going to always be there. When her time of transition begins, we're going to be there by her side so we can say our goodbyes and we can hold her hand and all of those things. And Greg, you're saying that because of the choices that you made, even when she told you early in life that you were going to wind up where you wound up, it still didn't affect you until you found yourself not having the opportunity to say your goodbyes like you may have wanted to. Mr. Boyd, how many people do you see on a daily basis? I know you and Mr. Powell talk with families that have lost loved ones, especially to violence. When you're talking to the mothers of children who have gotten killed in these streets here in Louisville, Kentucky, how do you feel when you have to deal with these parents, knowing what you know, knowing your background, knowing what you've come through on your journey? How do you feel having to deal with this each and every day?
First, I feel blessed, first and foremost, to be appointed to be there. You see what I'm saying? Based on where I come from and where God has guided me. You know what I mean? Because when I'm able to sit there with a loved one who have lost their loved one and feel and condolences and letting them know, you know what I mean, and being able to lift them up. Let them know it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Let them know that they don't need to take on that battle by themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whatever we can do to support you. You know what I mean? To be able to give them a real man hug, to be able to whisper something in their ear. You know what I mean? To give them confidence. You mean, because a simple hug can make a difference.
Wow.
You mean, because so many kids is broken that need a hug or just a simple hug to say, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Do you know what it's like when you're able to give a person you don't even know a simple hug, a real hug, and they know it's genuine?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man, and so with the work that I do in this community, man, I'm just it's like, I think back on my life and the journey that I've been on for so long. You know what I mean? And I ask God, why me sometimes? And God always whispered back and say, why not you? You know what I mean? It was a purpose why I left you here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because you couldn't have never told me that I'd be sitting here with y'all.
Wow.
Because when I was this 16-year-old boy, I didn't come, you know what I mean? I ran away from y'all.
Right.
Now God have allowed me to run to y'all. You know what I mean? So I just want to say, man, with that, man, it's just about being able to just sit there with them, to listen to them. You know what I mean?
Kenny,
Hear they cry.
Brother Kenny, brother and Brother Greg, when you are when you're trying to converse, maybe meeting 14, 15-year-old who is at one of these schools like Minor Daniels or whatever, and they're angry, they're mad, they've been in trouble. Are you able to go and dig in their backgrounds and find out what may have caused this? Is there a common denominator why some of these young kids are so angry and mad and take the paths that they take? Is it, what are they, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out. I often wonder why people end up, and maybe it's the environment that they're brought up in. That could be the answer too. Is it that? Is it a parent, an absent parent? Is it a parent that don't care? I often wonder what causes a 14, 15-year-old to take the path. I mean, they haven't really grown up. So what's in their background? Have you ever dug down? Maybe you know, Reverend Smyzer, have you dug down and found out what causes them to do what they do? I mean, when we were when I was 14, 15 years old, I was, just trying to make it through school. You know what I'm saying? But I just wonder about that, especially now, because there's so much violence and there's so many young people. Is there something in their background?
Well, it's all the above. It's everything you said, and I can relate to that because it was me. And when I was a young man growing up, just like Kenny, and he probably can contest to this, everything that you said, it was me.
Okay.
You know? And so, but nobody never asked me. My teachers never asked me,
wow,
what's going on with you?
Wow.
Why are you acting out like this? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? You know? And so, and when I look at these young men, and I'm going to tell you the main thing is what it is trauma. It's trauma that they've been through in their life. Because you take, for instance, this young kid who's on this corner that sees another kid right there with him, and he sees his brains get blowed out all over him.
Gotcha.
And he might be 13 or 14. So now, let's say he's 19 and 20. He ain't never forget
right.
that.
He's still dealing
He has never went through no therapy. He has never went through no counseling, no nothing, after he seen his friend get his brains blowed out. So what is the only thing on that kid's mind? Revenge. He want that guy who killed his best friend, who blew his brains all over him. So all from 14 years old, all the way to 19, he's been acting out.
Right.
And nobody has asked him, why are you acting out? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why are you doing this?
Exactly.
Why? Nobody has asked him.
Nobody's asked the question.
Man,
man.
I think, and Greg, you and Kenny and others, Stefan Harvey and Landon and Larry and the group that you gentlemen helped us to pull together, to come together, to work together, to see if we can make a difference. I believe, because of what I've learned from you gentlemen and others, we have the wrong strategy and the wrong approach. I've heard both of you all talk about it, and maybe you can share some light on it even more. Greg, you say it all the time. Kenny, I've heard you say it. It's not the drugs that is the major problem. We have drugs, but that's not the reason why we're having all of these killings. We have gangs, but that's not the reason why we're having all these killings. We're having all of these homicides because of revenge. And you can't take a gang strategy or a drug strategy and apply it towards a revenge problem. You got to come up with a strategy that deals with the revenge. Shed some light on what and how this revenge thing, help us to understand a little better. When you say it's a revenge problem, what does that mean? Can you give us some examples of view or how we can maybe better understand when we hear revenge? It's a revenge. What does that really mean?
You know, I'm gonna share with me my personal thoughts about that. You know, my little baby sister got killed, you know, in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, and in the process, all my life, I wanted retaliation. I wanted that guy to kill my little sister. In my mind, I was gonna get him. You know what I mean? And I carried it on for years and years and years and years and years. And once again, there go all that pain and anger and rage that I had growing up.
Yeah.
All I did was pushed it down.
My Lord.
You know what I mean? I never cried as a little boy growing up. Because I grew up in a world that you can't cry.
My Lord.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So I pushed all my pain down and I medicated my feelings with drugs and alcohol and guns and running from police. And even all that stuff made me feel good, feel like I was the man. Just follow me now. But so when I think about my retaliation and revenge to this individual who killed my little sister, you feel me? And for so many years I wanted him dead. But what so happened was when I ran into this guy.
What'd you say?
When I ran into this guy, when I finally ran and seen this guy after 10 or 15 years, man, God have done something to me. Wow. You feel me?
Yeah.
You mean I lived long enough?
Mm.
I lived long enough for a transformation and a change. Because see, if I had met him a week ago, a week after, or 5 years when I was trapped into the streets.
Right. It'd been a different story.
It'd been a different story.
Wow.
How God stripped me of that mindset that I had.
Okay.
And what happened was I was able to look at this guy. You hear me, man? I was able to look at him face to face. And just give him a simple hug. My God, you know what I mean? I'm talking about this guy that I wanted, you mean, because see, I come from a world where, you know what I mean, like you deal with today in society, rather, you mean how we gonna get you,
right.
Man, but then I never forget, man, this guy that killed my little sister, man, I wanted him for so many years. But how God transformed my life.
Had he transformed that guy too?
That guy that I seen, you know what I mean, let me tell you how deep it was. You know, now he had one leg.
Wow, Lord.
You know what I mean, man? That guy was out there on drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Could have took advantage of him big time. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But it was something.
Wow.
You know, when we talk about revenge, Greg and Kenny, when I hear on the news shooting at Virginia Avenue, shooting at another shooting, is that all about revenge? All in one night? Some of these shootings we have in 3-4 different places?
Well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it might be just a isolated incident.
Okay.
But 70% of them is revenge, and it's retaliation. And some of them is even related, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, 70% of these homicides in our city is retaliation and revenge.
Talk to us about retaliation. What does that, can you give us an example of what would be retaliation?
Well, just like Mr. Kenny Boyd spoke about, I mean, you know, somebody killed your brother or your sister. I'm going to just use this as an example. You kill Kenny. Kenny's my big brother. I'm 5 years old, 6 years old at the time. Kenny's my brother. Every time the ice cream truck comes, Kenny buys me ice cream. Every time Kenny got a pocket full of $1 bills, he stuffed them in my pocket. Every time Kenny goes to the mall, he takes me. Every time Kenny's riding in his nice car, he got me sitting next to him. You killed my brother. Now, I'm not no 5-year-old kid no more. I'm 17 and 18 now. You just got out of prison. There's people in my ear like him saying, that's who killed your big brother. Wow. That's the guy that killed your brother right there. Now, I'm old enough to do something about it now. See, back then I was 5 years old, wasn't nothing I could do. But now, people's in my ear telling me that you the one that killed my big brother. So all I can remember is everything that my big brother done for me, and I only got nothing but good memories of him. Nothing bad. I'm gonna get you for that, because you took that away from me.
Wow.
And that's what happens out here.
Wow. Wow. I think the question now becomes, okay, how do we address the revenge, the retaliation issue? What can we do? Starting from the church, the community, what can we do to address the retaliation and the revenge situation, especially when we come to understand that 70+% of the homicides come from revenge? How do we address it, in your opinion?
You know, I couldn't speak on that. I don't know exactly, but one of the things that I think that what we need to do and continue to work towards is connecting with the parents.
My Lord.
You feel me? I think that, you know what I mean, the piece that we did last week, parents engagement, you know what I mean, reaching out to the parents and bringing them to the table, allow them to share and talk and then come up with a strategy. Because until we connect to these parents, we're going to continue to have revenge, retaliation, whatever. You see what I'm saying? Because these parents, man, they have to be able to be accountable and come together to create a way to reach their own kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's our kids. It's our kids, man. You know what I mean? And just think about it, man. You know what I mean? You got all the programs in the world, but do we have a program to deal with these parents?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to engage in them, getting them to be able to talk about what's going on, being able to let them share their thoughts and their feelings, and we come up with a strategy to be able to close this gap, man, because this gap is just wide open, man. You know what I mean? Let's think about some of the things that these kids, even though I was bad, I did what I did, but I know one thing for sure, that I wasn't going to sit at the kitchen table with my mama smoking no weed.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know for sure. I knew right from wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I knew that if I'm 13 and you 12, 13, you ain't getting ready to spend the night over my mama house, in my mama house. You going to I'm going to sneak you right on out that back door.
Yeah.
But my mom didn't, you know what I mean? I ain't going to go for all. She didn't put up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And whatever I did, I snuck and did it.
Got you.
And then I thought I was getting away. And my mom used to say, boy, you see what I'm saying? I can see my mom right now. You know, one of the most powerful things that I experienced in life, when I told my mom this did me like this, one, that finger, I don't know if your mama had that finger. See that finger you do like this, she used to say to me, boy, you gonna reap what you sow.
Wow.
And to be able to live, to experience what she said.
My Lord.
Because I got kids.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And everything that I took her through.
What you say?
You feel me?
Them
sleepless nights.
Yeah.
That phone that you don't want to answer and it's saying coming out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them is the moments that I have experienced, and that's why I feel that we as a community, we need to figure out a way to connect with these parents.
Let me ask you one question. I thought about this after Greg said this. Retaliation, in your question, Reverend Smyzer, and I know y'all probably have done this when you're trying to reach somebody who is looking to retaliate. Do you ever talk to them and talk about, okay, you're going to retaliate? Do you know what the outcome is going to be for your life if you do that? Do they ever think that far?
Talking about consequences.
Yeah. Do they ever think about the consequences? Just like the illustration that you use. I'm 17 now. I remember what you did to my brother, so I'm coming after you. Do they ever think that far, that what's going to be the consequences if I do that? Or is it just about, I'm just going to get you and I don't care?
They don't think about the consequences. Just like when Kenny was using the fact about his sister at that time, he didn't care about what the consequences was going to be. He wanted that guy to kill his baby sister.
My Lord.
And I'm going to share a prime example with you. I had maybe been out of prison for about maybe 7 or 8 years. And my nephew got killed in Beecher Terrace. And he got killed for no reason.
No reason.
And I was talking to my nephew about my nephew getting killed. I was talking to another nephew of mine. And I was trying to console him because he was going off.
Gotcha.
You know. So I said, it's going to be all right. We're going to handle this as a family.
Mm-hmm.
The news channel zeroed in on because they seen the way that he was acting.
Mm-hmm.
So they had one of those powerful microphones and they was all the way across the street. So when they showed the news footage of it, all it said was, we are going to handle this. They edited out where I said we're going to handle this as a family.
Right.
So when they did that, then a pastor got on TV and said, I can't remember what pastor it was, but he said, but I didn't see the news footage. People was calling my phone telling me about it. And then they said, the pastor said, see, that's why the violence ain't going to stop because of comments like that. So Mr. Kenny Board called my phone. They called him and said, several people called him and said, have you talked to Greg Powell? Kenny said, no. have you seen the news? They said, you need to talk to Greg because we afraid that Greg is getting ready to do something drastic. And Kenny called my phone and he talked to me and I said, no. And at the time, I hadn't seen the news footage. But Kenny was telling me that people was really worried and concerned about me because they thought that I was going to retaliate against the guy that killed my nephew. So yes, it's about the retaliation thing, and you don't think, but me, I never even, that thought had never even entered my mind to get retaliated. My thing was to console my family at that time.
Exactly.
Because I know their mindset was retaliation.
I got you.
And by me being who I was, been to prison, and my nephews looked up to me, then if I would have said, yeah, everybody's gonna be on my side. But if they see me saying, no, man, let's not handle it like this, they're gonna follow that.
Gotcha.
And so that's why I had to be the strong person at that time to console my other nephews and my other cousins, because when they seen that in me, that I didn't want, because it was a shock to them. Because they was looking for that old Greg to come out.
Sure.
But like Kenny, that old Greg was dead. It didn't even exist no more, man. It didn't even exist. It never entered my mind to kill that guy, to kill my nephew. You know, I was just thinking about his mother, my brother, my family. How was they going, you know, because I already seen how they was taking it. You know,
my Lord.
Because they shot my nephew like 14 times.
My God.
Gentlemen, we are coming again to the close of another powerful session. Thank you again so much for joining us here on GA today. #B4, breaking barriers while building bridges. Our churches truly want to do that. We are wide open for assistance, for knowledge. Help us to better understand what we need to do, how we need to be thinking, what views we need to be taking, because it's got to stop. The violence has to stop. And we can't wait 10 years from now to come up with something. We got to move with a great degree of urgency to try and make a difference. And we're just trying to learn. So thank you for sharing your journey, sharing your life, and helping us to understand better, because many of us, the view in which we see out of is nowhere close to the view in which you all has lived. And so that has become very meaningful to me, and I'm sure to Dr. Crayton. And we're going to have a pastors conference as we close out in July of 22. And I'm going to talk to the moderators. Dr. Crayton will lead us about you guys coming and talking to pastors all over the state in a session about what we're doing with what we can do, or how we can view it, how we can look at it differently, look at it better, that we might make a difference, because the Black church is still the only thing we have in the Black community that's ours. The Black church is still the organism that we must lean on to rise to the top, because God leads us and we are to lead the people in our communities. Thanks again for another episode. GA Today. We will see you next time.
All right.
Thank you.